G'day ladies and gentlemen, Duckville here. Welcome to a Protoss versus Terran game on Altazim Stronghold, which is a map that I rarely ever get to see. Very, very rarely do I get any replays of this particular map. Of course, not too many people are fond of this one, just a little bit too big in a lot of cases, and sort of favouring particular races at various stages, of course, so rare to ever see this one. But this one here does feature our red Protoss up at the top left hand side for Team Frenetic Array Academy, or Metagame Gods as well. He's also the leader of that particular clan as well. It is Alpha. And we have seen a couple of other games of Alpha. Does like airplays quite a lot, particularly involving carriers, which is why I really do enjoy watching Alpha play. His opponent down at the bottom right hand side, our blue Terran player here, is Stellumz. I have not seen before, but I'm intrigued to see how this one goes. I have not seen a PvT on this map for a little while now, like in some of the replays that I've watched. Generally, it tends to be Zerg versus Protoss, and that makes me wonder, those Zerg players, like, what do they know that other Zerg players don't? Because the majority of the time, most Zerg players that I know, that I speak to, just hate this map. It's too big. A Protoss can secure 3 base really, really quickly, which of course means that it really opens up their production availability and also the paths of their tech as well. You can get up to Stargate very quickly, and Robo, and even Templar once you're on 3 bases. So these are the kinds of things that do worry the Zerg players, but we'll see what Stellumz is up to here. This map does provide you with some really nice, drop paths that can come in. Of course, it takes a long while to get over there, but you can come in through the back and drop off in the mineral line there. You can also come through just into the side here, just at the front, and then just go straight in. Not to mention, of course, the availability to come in the backdoor base here, or the main base just across the side. But normally by that time, a third base is probably up, as many people like to play very greedily on this map, thinking, well, it's a huge map, I can take my time in getting units out so I can actually try and expand a little bit quicker. So we'll see if either player is going to go down that particular path. We can see that that Alpha does set up a Nexus and is going to go for a gateway just after. No need to go for a Forge-based expansion, as some people used to do with the Nexus first these days, because you can, if you get that gateway down really quickly, get some gas coming out, and then get the mothership core out, you should be relatively well protected against various kinds of like sort of early marine pushes that some people like to do against the Nexus first. So it's all good if you're all protected from that kind of thing. But now we can see that Stellumz is going to set up his own expansion as well. The first of the racks is now done. A second one is on the way. And it looks as if, well, he's going to identify that his opponent did go for the Nexus first. We've got the Cyber Core just starting up as well. So everything very normal, very, standard kind of thing that you would expect to see on this map. People going for expansions first, getting their units up slowly after that. But Alpha will be able to get inside. He's going to have a quick look through, just identifying what his opponent is doing. But everything else is pretty standard. Of course, we're just waiting for things to get out and up and running. Please do make sure that, of course, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and jump onto my Twitch channel as well. Do a lot of streaming over there. Had a little bit of a break this week because it is Christmas time, and family stuff is going on. Of course. Yeah, make sure you subscribe on Twitch. I do a lot of streaming of some various games, Natural Selection 2, Dota 2, StarCraft 2, even Skyrim every now and then, just to have a little bit of fun with some Skyrim action. And yeah, I do some giveaways every now and then, Steam games in particular, stuff from the Humble Bundle, all those kinds of cool things. So please do jump over to twitch.tv/DuckvilleLol and subscribe there. And I would certainly appreciate that. Also, be the common place that I do my live commentary of StarCraft 2 and Dota 2 stuff. So it'd be good to see you all over there. Looks like Alpha is going to go for a Twilight Council as his first main tech path at the moment, so not really going to be favouring a Stargate this time. We'll also grab a Robo as well. Like I was saying, on this kind of map, people really, because you have such early expansions, and very easy to get, especially a third expansion, where, of course, for a Protoss player, the gas is very important. you can do things like this, where you just go for a Robo, Twilight. I would not even be surprised to see a Stargate at some point as well, but obviously that's perhaps a little bit too out of the ordinary, but we'll probably see some more gateways follow this up. We've got a Templar Archives going down quickly here for Alpha, and just for the moment, we've got very little happening on the map, as these two want to try and get their tech and all their economy rolling first as their main sort of port of call. So I suppose we could point out some of the features of this map. The other third base is nice and the third base is nice and easy to take. A little bit of tall grass here, which provides a really weird sort of aspect. If you don't have vision, keeping an eye on this side of the tall grass, then you can actually have your opponent just running through, and then they're like, oh, they're in my third base. They're very close to my main base as well, and it's a little bit of a worry sometimes, this tall grass. So I normally, depending on what race I'm playing, because I normally play random, I'll normally try and have just pressing all sorts of buttons. I'll normally try and have like a building floating over here, or a pylon, or just a single overlord, just keeping an eye on what's going on as well. So, you know, it's always good to keep an eye on that kind of thing. Of course, through the middle, there is a lot of open space. As we can see, it's hugely wide open here, which does cause some trouble for some of the races in some of their various matchups. And it can be an interesting point if you do have a battle in the middle as to how you space out your units, how you make sure that you are protected against flanks of various types, whether it be from Terran, Protoss, or Zerg. And, well, for Alpha, we've got a couple of Templar that are on their way. The Storm Tech has been researching, and with Charge on the way as well, looks like at least for the early portion of this game, Alpha is going to be relying on some Zealots and some Archons to be protecting him at the front. We also do have an Immortal that is just about to come through as well, which is going to help out against Marauders and things like that. But we haven't really seen too much aggression from either of these players. It looks as if Stellumz may want to finally push out here. Has a large group of Marines. This is all the normal sort of standard timing that you do see when people want to head out across the map. And I mean, he's got his +1 to weapons, he's got his stim as well, and with combat shields on the way, given the massive distance of this map, he should actually get that just in time. But Alpha, here we go. A couple of storms going to drop them down on the SCVs there, killing off a few of them. 7 in total, not too bad, and I mean, now these Templar can just head off to the side and wait over there for a little bit, but Alpha is going to have the threat of these units now making their way forwards. A couple of medevacs leading the way. The Marines are now going to be pushing forwards. We'll see if they can at least force a cancel on this base. This would be what Stellumz is probably aiming for at this time. I mean, there is no real way you're gonna kill off anything else, but I mean, he could jump in here. Of course, there is that issue with the vision there, but Alpha does have an observer. They're keeping an eye on those units. Are now backing up to the safety of the Nexus there. A storm coming out does wreck a lot of those Marauders, the Marines and the Marauders that are there, but a lot of the units are still alive for now, and Stellumz is going to be able to stim up. If he can micro out some of these units, he should be able to, again, get some damage done here. But Alpha, once again, is now going to try and jump inside the third base, going to let some of those Templar loose. Will they get a storm going? It looks like one, and the other one did not get off in time, but he has killed off a couple more of those workers. But Stellumz is actually going to force a cancel on this base, I think, as the Nexus is cancelled there for Alpha. Marauders will stem forward, so they're going to get some work done, taking out that cannon, and that was a relatively successful attack. Like, I mean, I kind of think like he ran a little bit too far forwards. We saw that Alpha sort of fell back to this position here, and it was just sort of utilizing the force fields in this position to hold some of the units back and then get some storms down. But I mean, Stellumz still lost a couple of those units. I think it was a little bit unnecessarily, but as we can see, still got a medevac full of units that is now going to drop out. Some Marines and some Marauders going to get some work done inside the third base. No Templar or anything here to protect this base, so Alpha perhaps a little bit offbeat there, just trying to defend that natural Nexus. But as you can see, does get a kill on one of the medevacs. The other one is all full health and no energy at the moment, but does keep that one alive for now. I would expect that for Stellumz, he'd need to pick up some of the upgrades here. We're still waiting on the +2 on the weapons and the armor as well. As we can see, his armory is done, so he certainly can grab those upgrades right now, but for the moment, a little bit busy securing that third base and making sure that his front door is secured as well. But losing some of those units out on the map as well, out in the open plains. But a drop will come through inside the main base. He's pulled some of the units out of position. The Marauders will get a little bit of work done, but they will be forced to back off for now. Too many charge lots here especially once you consider that they do have their +1 to armor, which means they survive a lot longer against these Terran units. So Stellumz has been forced to set up a couple of turrets here to protect this third base, and now that he's mining quite nicely, he should be able to get some higher tech coming up from him. We'll probably see ghosts start to come out on the field very soon. He does have +2 on weapons on the way, scans forward and wants to try and get in here and get some damage done. But Alpha going to back off for a minute. Another planetary Nexus overcharge going down there, but Stellumz has found some of the tech in the back door of the natural base there, and is going to be able to take out one of the pylons, depowering the Twilight Council and the Templar Archives, but is forced out of there as the medevac is very, very low there. So are those Marauders that are inside. But Stellumz, he's still keeping his opponent on the back foot. Alpha, down at 119 supply, does not really have enough to contend with these units just yet, but he does have very powerful forces. These Archons will smash through bio units very quickly. The Zealots will be able to tank at the front, and of course the Immortal, those couple of Immortals that are there will really help out in dealing with the Marauders as well. So Stellumz really just trying to crank out a lot of units at the moment. Got the Mobius Reactor coming through for his Ghost. We've got +2 on the weapons and armor for those infantry units, and again, we're going to have a small battle just out the front of Alpha's third base, but I think that Stellumz is, he may be waiting a little bit too long. I mean, of course this is a 3-base play, so it's not necessarily like you can just crank out 700 units really quickly, but I kind of feel like he's, once Alpha has the couple of Colossi out that are just on their way right now, he's going to be able to force all of these units back, and now as we can see, Double Colossus production is just cranking out the first 2, and they're going to add a lot of firepower to the mix of these units that are here, and Stellumz is going to have to be very careful. He has no Vikings out on the field. The medevac count is surprisingly low, or actually, where are they all? Well, we've got some here and then some across to the side. I suppose there's one that's stuck down the back, but I mean, he's doesn't have all of them together, but what he is able to do right now is look for a sort of a double attack here that he's going to come in from the side, a multi-point attack that's going to come through the tall grass there. Of course, Alpha has no more vision. The observers have been killed off, but now Stellumz deciding he wants to go for a double up. We do have 4 Colossi, I believe, now out on the field. Or no, the other ones are just coming through. But 2 are already done. Now Alpha decides it is time to go. We're going to move forward. Stellumz with a couple of units off to the side has a wonderful concave here. And as long as he splits correctly, should be able to hold Alpha back for the moment. But, I mean, if any of these Storms that are on these Templar are able to get in there, he will be able to smash apart some of those units. And now Alpha, with the Warp Prism out of the map, is going to get some more harassment done. Zealot's going to be dropping into this third base, who will be able to slice apart some of those SCVs that are there. And he, all the while, going to be able to counter push as well. Colossus, we've got the Templar, the Archons as well, and those Zealots are going to be charging after those units. Stellumz turns around and says, "Let's do this, baby." Marching forward, stimming up. Where are the Templar? They're stuck at the back. The Time Warp will go down, and this would be a beautiful place for a storm. There are the double storms here from Alpha, and it looks like he will hold his opponent back for now, all the while setting up a 4th base. And Stellumz, well, he's lost a few of his SCVs over here. The worker loss count is actually relatively even. But, of course, for Alpha, he still has this Warp Prism here that can provide a little bit of a harassment utility for the Protoss player. But he is now going to get a 4th and a 5th base up and running. Stellumz pushing forwards, wants to try and take advantage of these Colossi that are a little bit exposed, but perhaps pushing a little bit too far. Those Immortals are really providing their a lot of power there, given that the Marauders are just getting torn apart. And Stellumz says, time to pick up and get out of here, because he doesn't really have enough units. And I mean, now that he does have a 3rd base nicely saturated, we want to see the 4th base going up very quickly here for our Terran player, and continuing on with the production as well. 9 racks in total, should be able to bring out a couple of Ghosts every now and then, not to mention a large portion of Marines and Marauders as well. Keeping this medevac count high is also a very key point for the Terran player. And for Alpha, meanwhile, his upgrades slowly is coming along, +2 on the armor, but very slow on that +1 to weapons. The Blink Tech is also on the way. Double Colossi is still in production, and his main base is about to mine out. So we'll see a transfer of probes across to the 4th base, the 5th base across the left-hand side. A very daring base from Alpha. Once you start to take extra bases, you really start to spread yourself thin. If these units want to try and protect this base, they'll have to come all the way down here, and then come all the way back up to the top side. So he has to be very careful with how he positions his units here, and as we can see, Stellumz might want to try and take advantage of that. A couple of Templar are here to protect this base, but I mean, that may not be enough with these Marines and Marauders. Stimming forwards are going to take out the pylon, then targeting down a couple of the Templar, but they will switch into an Archon very quickly on the reactions. There is Alpha. Now going to come forwards. We've got 6 Colossi here. What is the Viking count for Stellumz? He's got 5 right now, still producing a couple more every now and then. His 1 starport is not enough to produce enough of these Vikings that he's going to need right now. And again, Alpha has been on the ball with that harassment, picking up the 4th base, making sure that that does not go down, and Stellumz is in a little bit of trouble right now. The Ghosts are going to charge forwards. Will they be able to get some EMPs off? It looks like they do. The Templar at the back have no energy, switching into Archons, but there is still a lot of AoE damage here for Alpha. He's got all those Colossi, but all of the units out front have now fallen down. The Stim, Marine, and Marauder combination here from Stellumz is able to force him back. Got the 2-2 active, 3-3 is on the way, and I feel like Alpha, neglecting some of those upgrades a little bit earlier on, is going to have a little bit of trouble just trying to hold this one back. But given that Stellumz has such a long resupply path here, he probably won't be able to get anything done at the end. And now Alpha with some more Stalkers. We've got some more Colossi here. I would not be surprised if we start to see some Stargates come out from the Protoss player here. But, I mean, this is the trouble with this map. It's why a lot of people don't like this. Look at all this distance that the Terran units have to cover to actually resupply. And, I mean, we do have now 12 racks out on the field. 14 racks out on the field. So it's not as if Stellumz doesn't have the production. It's just the distance that is really costing him here. So he's going to have to perhaps think of another way to get around and get some resupply going here. Perhaps, you know, getting some more medevacs out, just boosting across the map to try and get units all together, or perhaps sort of sitting in a much more central position and then grouping up and heading forwards. That's my phone ringing. Why is my phone ringing? Anyway, but we've got now the Colossi just sort of sitting at the count of 4. We don't really have any more on the way. I think that, wow, that's a lot of observers there for Alpha. Not sure what's going on with that, but the natural base has been mined out for now. We've got the 3rd base still sitting relatively pretty. The 4th, of course, is sitting nice and saturated there, of course. But Alpha, lots of cannons protecting some of these outlying bases. A really, really good tactic. Just to, if you've got the spare minerals, throw down the cannons. There's no real reason not to. I know, like, Marauders and some of the other units will just smash down cannons very quickly, but I mean, it buys you a little bit of time to obviously react. If you've got Templar, you can warp in some DTs and some Zealots or something like that, but it's always good to just have those extra cannons there, I feel, and sometimes people don't get them. It's a little bit odd, but now, as you can see, some DTs around on the field. Alpha wanting to get some of this more harassment going. Ghosts are going to march forwards. They're looking for an EMP. Some of the Templar are stacked up. This could, wow, that is a couple of really sizable EMPs there from Stellumz. And now, as we can see, there are going to be some DTs marching in towards the 4th or the 5th base of Stellumz. Not going to be able to take down this planetary. The SCV should be able to repair that in time. Not to mention, we do have another big battle going on in the middle. Only a couple of Vikings here, and there are 4 Colossi. They're going to burn through a lot of this army, but not before the Marauders get their own kills as well, sweeping through the Stalkers on the ground, even taking out a couple of those Colossi. But the DTs are here. They're doing a little bit of damage as well. And Alpha, as long as he can get up some pylons in the middle here, I feel as though he can start to really push back against his opponent. Now, we do have this Templar. He doesn't have enough energy for a Storm, unfortunately. But Alpha really looking to start to push back. I feel as though we'll probably see a little bit of a gateway explosion from him as well. He's got a lot of minerals available, and we just need to have that production there, whether it be through perhaps looking at the Stargates, as I mentioned. A lot of people have started looking at switching it to Tempest at the latter portion of a PvT. And as I said, Alpha does love his carriers. Maybe we'll see something to that effect. But just for the moment, we're still sitting on a relatively low army supply for Alpha at the moment. 88 units around on the field, for him. A couple of Colossi resupplying coming through. Templar are here, and we do have some units, some basic units on the ground as well. Those Zealots and the Stalkers. But I mean, for Stellumz, this is the troublesome part for a Terran player. What do you kind of do at this point? Do you start to maybe switch into mech and not full mech, but maybe grab and not full mech, but maybe grab a couple of tanks for some positional play? Do you try and head towards the battle cruisers? Normally at this point, what I really like to see from the Terran players is increasing the ghost count, head up towards 10 plus ghosts, start to add in possibly a switch into BCs. Ghost BC is very, very difficult to deal with if used correctly. Of course, you do have to be very careful of the Tempests, but you can block them out with point defense drones. You can use the battlecruiser's Yamato cannon to shoot down some of the bigger units that the Protoss players have as well. And that's sort of what you do tend to see a lot more at the later game stage for the Terran players. But I mean, for the moment, Stellumz just going to try and capitalize on his opponent being a little bit out of position. So Marauder's going to move forward, laying a storm down there as that lone Templar that's defending this position. But Alpha not reacting. He's okay, now he's going to march forwards. I'm not sure what he was doing at that time, but we do have another base being set up down there at the bottom left-hand side of the map. But now Alpha going to move forward. Stellumz needs to be very careful here with some of these units. The Templar across to the side getting EMP, but they do lay down a single storm, but the Ghosts are still going to be doing a lot of work here. Never underestimate cloaked Ghosts. When you don't have any observers, you will be wrecked by Ghosts. It's crazy to see how many people will lose a lot of units to those cloaked Ghosts. And now Alpha with his own cloak tech here with the DTs coming in. He's getting some more harassment done. We can see that the fourth base of Stellumz is up and running, but this one is going to take quite a while to get back up and running here, as he is suffering the wrath of those DTs over there. But now with extra bases across on the right hand side of the map, some units are going to be dropping in here from Stellumz. Going to try and target down some of these gateways here. A couple of DTs will come across to defend. Should be able to slice through those units very quickly. And down they go. But Alpha, he's just continuing on some of this harassment, but not really looking for any higher tech at the moment. Just sticking with the standard sort of mixture of Colossus, the gateway units, the Templar, and the Archons as well. But no real signs of going up any higher than that. We're not looking at the Tempests or the Carriers or even Void Rays. I mean, Void Rays are pretty damn good. But nothing of the sort for the moment. Stellumz, meanwhile, similar sort of thing for him, sticking on the standard mixture of these basic Rax units with the Marines and the Marauders and those Ghosts there as well. Both players really starting to... they'll probably start to bank up very soon. I mean, both of them are just about to max out right now. We've got Alpha on 190 supply, 200 now, and his opponent is sitting on 193. They are sort of dancing around this middle section here. The real tactical portion of this middle section is how you utilize these positions here. A Terran player can drop the Vikings up here and then just try and fire down on those Colossi, so you can kind of use that dead space, but you have to be very careful about these choke points as well. So if Alpha now moves forwards into that bottom base, which he's not going to do, he's just going to come through the tall grass here and just says, hello, I'm right here. And now with well, very little Vikings at this point here. We can see that Stellumz has only got 3 out on the map. Not really enough to deal with the Colossi, but I'll tell you what can. That is the Ghost dropping down EMPs all over this army. Interesting to see the Mothership Core is not here as well. Alpha is going to lose quite a lot of these units, and in fact should lose all of these units now. Is going to try and resupply with some Zealots coming along. Looks like the DTs are not going to be mixed in just as of yet, but maybe they'll be used at another base. But Alpha, wow, actually finally does crush through the rest of those units there, and now we can see that Stellumz is forced back. His units are now inside the main base. We've got a Cloak Ghost here sitting at the front. That guy goes down very quickly. The observers are running away very quickly. You don't want to lose those observers at this point here. But Alpha, I mean, he's keeping that pressure on, but he's not able to fully go for it. And again, this sort of really brings us back to the fact that this map is extremely long. The bonus for the Protoss is that you can warp in all those units there with a pylon or with a warp prism. But it still does take a little while for units such as the Colossi. Templar, of course, are very slow as well. And, you know, it takes a bit of time to get all of those units back up and across the map. So both these players starting to, well, we sort of slowed the pace a little bit right now while both of them sort of look to figure out where they're going to go from here. For Alpha, I kind of feel like maybe getting some attacks over here on this base would be a good option for him. Send a couple of Zealots over, maybe some DTs as well. Hasn't really spotted that one just yet. I mean, you can probably suspect that a base is over there, but unfortunately hasn't actually fully scouted it. Meanwhile, for Stellumz, does not know about this base down in the bottom left-hand side. Perhaps we'll find out about it very soon. In fact, no, this command center is going to be landing in the natural base, so he's not going to see that one there. But Stellumz, he's, I feel like at this point, despite the fact that, you know, a Protoss is still going to have Templar defending bases, you're going to have the availability of warpins and things like that, I still think that dropping at this point is going to be quite handy. And as I said before, looking towards the big C tech could be quite advantageous here. Right now we've got Stellumz approaching with a nice concave from sort of two sides here. It's a bit of a semicircle that he's got rolling and should be able to smash down a lot of these units. Alpha in a little bit of trouble. A lot of these high-powered units are going to be dying off here, but he's going to resupply with a huge group of Zealots that are now going to be marching their way forwards. Templar throwing down a couple of storms. The Colossi that are here are going to be able to get a lot of damage done as well. Throwing down a storm on the Viking across to the side, but he's able to float out of there very quickly. But Alpha holds firm, holds all those units together. But he's looking for another base here on the, I suppose, the top middle section here, but that has been spotted by Stellumz. And Stellumz right now adding in some factories. Interesting. I do like that. Like as I said before, I feel like maybe adding in some tanks would be helpful. The problem with tanks is that this map, again, it's a very large map, so if you're going to add in a couple of tanks to give you some extra firepower against the Colossus and the Archons and things like that, is that it's going to be very hard to maneuver them around the map. And I mean, at this point, you need to make the right composition choice as a Terran player. Do I add in more Vikings? Is he going to continue the Colossus production? Or do I need to start to add in some more Ghosts? Do I sort of... do I have the availability to head towards the battlecruiser tech as well? Like, I mean, that's the other thing, is switching into battlecruisers is not an easy choice. You have to make the decision, well, do I have time? Battlecruisers take a long time to build, and, you know, it can be very costly. If you're caught with your pants down, you know, you're building like 5 battlecruisers, that's all good, but if you get caught with your pants down and those battlecruisers are still building, you could be in a lot of trouble, because there could just be a lot of Templar, some Colossi that just move across and sweep through everything. So have to be very careful of those kinds of things here. We can see now that Alpha is really boosting up that gateway count up to a total of 16. I'm a little bit surprised it's not a bit higher at this point, but we may have an engagement down here at the bottom side of the map. The Vikings going to be spotting out what is coming. Needs to be very careful. The time warps here from the Mothership Core could be very crucial. There's one, there's a second, the DT's at the back. Will they be able to get in there? It looks like it is a no. The Ghosts are going to move forward, throwing down some EMPs, some good storms from Alpha. Do destroy a lot of the Terran forces, but now the resupply from Alpha is going to come through, and will he be able to keep those Colossi alive? Those are very important. The Zealots charging forwards, a couple of EMPs do knock down their shields. We can see that some of the Ghosts are still alive, but Alpha loses a lot of those forces there, and he's going to, wow, this is going to be a very interesting point here, because Stellumz can certainly look to try and take control of this left-hand side. It looks like it is going to be a Hellbat addition for Stellumz here. I'm okay with that. I don't know, I didn't actually think about that, but a lot of people do add in Hellbats when it comes to late game. It helps you deal with Zealot resupply, it helps you tank obviously a lot of damage against the storms and things like that. There is going to be a nuke dropping down here from Stellumz. That one Ghost Academy is going to be rebuilding that nuke very soon, and he's going to drop it down. Oh, in fact, the Ghost gets taken out by a feedback, I believe, so no nuke this time here from Stellumz. Planetary Fortress setup, guarding this base for the moment. Looks like a couple of Stalkers are going to come across and just guard this position here, wanting to make sure that Stellumz is not able to mine from this base. So Alpha playing that one very cleverly. He knows that his opponent has a lot of Ghosts out on the field, so he's continuing that Colossus production. In fact, how many? Oh, in fact, no, it's only the 2 Ghosts at the moment. We're still producing quite a few, but I mean, the mixture here from Stellumz is starting to move into a much more beefier kind of setup with Marauders and those Hellbats as well. Do they have Blue Flame? Not just yet. They're going to have Blue Flame. I would assume he's going to get it very soon. Yeah, there it is. It's just about to finish up right now. So this is a really annoying kind of composition to deal with. I can tell you what, Marauders, they do a lot of damage against armored targets, which is, you know, most of the Protoss army. The Hellbats at the front can tank. You get some EMPs coming out of Ghosts as well, and all the while the Medivacs are healing up everything. It can be quite a dangerous group of units to rush into, but if you've got a high Colossus count, you should be okay. If you've got some Storms available, as long as the Templar don't get EMP'd, then you should be okay then as well. But we will have a large engagement here. Some of the Storms getting denied there by Stellumz with a couple of really nice EMPs, but only a couple of Ghosts are available for him right now. Big whiffs on those Storms for Alpha. Unfortunately, just sort of pre-placing those Storms, and that means that he did miss on quite a large portion of those. And Stellumz, well, he's still got a lot of these units all together here, a lot of Marauders. We've got those Hellbats there as well, a couple of units even loaded up into one of the medevacs right now. But at this point, Stellumz is going to look to try and take a couple more bases. We're going to try and set up a base across the top side, maybe even looking to take the top right-hand side position as well. Alpha, he's mining with 74 probes, and while his natural 3rd, 4th, even the 5th base are just about mined out, he does have the 6th and the 7th down here at the left. It's been a long time since I've been able to say a 7th base for a Protoss. In fact, hang on, is it 7? Oh yeah, we got 7 including this one that's just going up. Not to mention another one here, but Alpha, well, I mean, I don't know. This is the point where I probably would have switched to Void Rays by now, just personally, but Void Rays and Tempest, it's such a killer mixture sometimes, depending on what your opponent's going for. But as we can see, Stellumz boosting up the Ghost count. I would like to see this a lot higher. I mean, as I said, high Ghost count towards the end of the game is actually really, really deadly. EMPs are really powerful. Cloak Ghost can do a lot of work as well, but now with lots of Colossi roaming forward, 6 in total, it's like War of the Worlds here. We've got some Archons that are able to tank at the front, but the EMPs come out, and it will flatten quite a lot of the shield reserves of those units there from Alpha, but he still has the firepower of all of those Colossi. Now, moving forward, some Storms at the back, Storms everywhere there from Alpha, tearing apart a lot of the units, even storming some of his own units there. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, but as we can see, the Marauder and the Ghost count and even all those Hellbats have now been torn apart. We've got a little bit of harassment going on here at this extra base off to the side. Resupply with Stalkers coming out from Alpha, recognizing his opponent did have quite a few Hellbats there, but now with Alpha resupplying on those Stalkers, we've still got a lot of Colossi out. He can just take advantage here, start pushing the limits of his opponent with the 5 Colossi, lots of Stalkers, and some more resupply coming very soon. As we can see, some more Zealots going to be coming out, and well, Stellumz is going to try and get some more units out, but I'm not sure if he's going to have enough. The Marauders do not have as much support as they did before. No Hellbats to tank at the front. We can see now he's rushing forwards to try and kill off some of the Colossi, but not going to be enough. Alpha is going to win this one here. A very long PvT match, but what do you expect when we're playing on Altazim Stronghold? Nice game from both players. As I said, I was a little bit surprised we didn't get to see some of the higher tech there from either of them, but either way, it's a long distance to go for those very slow air units, the carriers, the Tempests, and the battle cruisers, but hey, it was still a great battle between them. Hope you all enjoy the game. I'll catch you all next time. Here, as you can see, 47 damage to bio units and then the 34 damage against other standard targets. His Storms have also been wonderful, just spreading them out across the battlefield, doing really, really nicely there. And for Minigun, he's been sticking with a much more